Businesses today are operating in a hugely competitive economic environment. And the simple truth is that if a business wants to succeed, gender equality is an issue it cannot afford to ignore. All the research tells us that there is a direct relationship between a diverse leadership team and improved business performance. And it is not just gender. Inclusivity is critical. Diversity of thought and removing the homogenous groupthink that is the enemy of innovation and intelligent risk management is vital if we are to remain competitive. Research carried out by McKinsey has shown that companies in the top quartile for ethnic and cultural diversity were 33% more likely to have industry-leading profitability. If as a business you care about revenue and profitability, you need a balanced team. If you care about understanding and meeting the needs of your customers, you need a balanced team. It is really that simple. The good news is that when it comes to building diverse and inclusive businesses and communities, we can all play a part, and the rewards are significant for everyone. Whether it involves making sure women have the same opportunities as men to develop their career, for example, or making sure men have the same access to family-friendly policies and flexible working, and feel just as supported to have the same access as women. Change is happening. It is clear that both FTSE 100 and FTSE 250 companies are acting. Women are rising to the top, perhaps overcoming barriers that should not have been hard to overcome, with leaders and boards who have worked hard to remove these barriers for current and future generations. And we should celebrate these stories of success, as it is only by sharing and understanding how change is made that we can achieve our collective ambition. However, although we are making progress, it continues to be slow. Reflecting on just a few pivotal moments in a relatively recent history demonstrates that. It was only in 1970 that strike action of Ford machinists and pressure from the women's movement led to the Equal Pay Act, making it illegal to pay women lower rates than men for the same work. And only in 1975 that the Sex Discrimination Act made it illegal to discriminate against women in work, education, and training. And in the world of finance, in the 1970s, women could not get their own mortgages, credit cards, or loans. And women in the UK would generally refuse mortgages because so few of them were in continuous employment. Until then, a woman could only secure a mortgage if she had the signature of a male guarantor. In more recent times, however, we have seen progress. The launching of the Investing in Women Code, which is a commitment to support female entrepreneurship in the UK by improving access to advice, resources, and finance needed to build a business. This now has 66 signatories, including large commercial banks such as Lloyds, Barclays, and Santander, as well as venture capital and angel institutions. And this code requires that signatories have a nominated member of the senior leadership team to be responsible for supporting equality in access to finance. It requires them to increase the transparency of their data and support for female entrepreneurs, and to adopt internal practices to improve the outlook for female entrepreneurs. Also in 2016, the government commissioned the Hampton-Alexander Review, which provided FTSE 350 companies a set of recommendations to improve the representation of women in boards and leadership roles. So there is some progress. However, women do remain underrepresented at the top tables, and this is why the commitment of CMI Women remains so important. We should not need a compelling reason to ensure gender equality. It is simply the right thing to do, as well as good business sense. That said, if businesses and governments do have any doubt, then we should remind ourselves of the McKinsey Global Institute report, which recently said that getting more women involved in the workforce could create up to $12 trillion in additional GDP globally. And at NatWest, I recently sponsored the Rose Review of Female Entrepreneurship at the request of the government, outlining the disparity between male and female entrepreneurs. This report found that helping more female entrepreneurs to thrive could represent £250 billion of economic potential for the UK. One example of how we've responded to the report's recommendation is through our Women in Business Banking proposition, which contributes to our wider commitment to help create an additional 50,000 new businesses by 2023. And we now have over 600 accredited specialists among our frontline bankers that offer bespoke mentoring, networking, and professional business advice to women-led and owned SMEs. So that is a real commitment that we're making. Now, as I've said, we've certainly made progress towards achieving gender equality, both in society and in the workplace. And that is something we can all be proud of. But we're not there yet. We have significant barriers to overcome. There are socioeconomic barriers. There is a strong link between gender equality in society and equality in work. Women have 77% of the average access to financial services that men do, and that is despite women controlling the majority of consumer spending today. Low employment rates and unpaid care work, with an average across the world, women doing 3 times more unpaid care work than men. The corporate performance model makes it more difficult for women who face a double burden. 75% of men and women agree that a top-level career implies anytime, anywhere availability to work that requires sacrifices in one's family life. And mindsets and unconscious bias continue to play out, with only 43% of men in senior management positions strongly agreeing that women are as good leaders as men, versus 76% of women. So there is clearly no silver bullet here to address this complex range of challenges. But we do need a holistic approach, one where gender diversity is an integral part of our business culture, where it is ingrained in everything we do. At NatWest, for example, at the top of the organisation, we operate a formal boardroom inclusion policy, which contains several measurable objectives, targets, and ambitions. And it's a policy that reflects our board's ongoing commitment to diversity and inclusion. And not just boardroom diversity. We also have formal targets for our executive committee to have at least 30% of women in the global top 3 leadership layers of each of their business areas by the end of 2020. We chose 30% because it marks the tipping point where female contributions influence teams enough to change behaviour and culture. And that is really critical. It is also a milestone on our journey. It's only a first step to achieve full gender balance and distribution at every level by 2030. Now, the targets we have set ourselves are underpinned by planned actions as part of our positive action approach and an understanding of their compound effect. Actions to attract, develop, and retain diverse talent, and actions that we continuously measure to ensure maximum effectiveness. To ensure we deliver the improvements required, we have benchmarked our plans externally with Business in the Community, Bloomberg, and HMT's Women in Finance Charter. And this validation process ensures we are focused on interventions that will make the most difference. From the start, we have been clear that gender equality is not a women's issue. It is about gender balance, deconstructing harmful social constructs relating to traditional gender roles, and ensuring equality of opportunity. This means a proactive focus on increasing the number of male colleagues in traditional female roles as well, in our case, for example, human resources. We have set the tone from the top and worked with senior leaders to help create a psychologically safe culture where our people feel able to raise concerns and challenge unwanted behaviours. Importantly, we have also found enthusiastic support from our employee-led networks and allies who play an active part in promoting gender equality and the culture we need to succeed. This type of progress requires commitment from leaders, commitment to create a great place to work where everyone can bring the best of themselves every day, knowing that they will be valued for who they are. And it's critical that we approach the challenge with the seriousness and determination as we do our other priorities. Progress also requires persistence. It takes determined effort and time to deliver tangible, but most importantly, sustainable results. And at NatWest, we have just come to the end of our current 5-year strategy, And we're now seeing the results of that persistence and determination. Our top 3 layers of the organisation are on aggregate now 37% female, which is an increase on 8% since 2015. We've increased our pipeline by 11% to 43%, and the group overall is 50% female. Looking at the business environment generally, I do believe the future is bright and we are making progress. But continued progress, sustainable progress, will require us to remain committed, persistent, and holistic in our approach. We will all need to challenge the norm, demand robust policies and practices that consider the needs of all, not just the needs of one dominant group. Embrace diversity of leadership, recognizing that effectiveness comes in many forms. Empower everyone to shape the future. To reflect the communities we live and serve in, they are multicultural with a broad range of religious groups and ethnicities. Amplify diverse voices, ensuring there are visible role models for our diverse talent. And ensure meritocracy and fairness, challenge bias, both conscious and unconscious. Demand safe and respectful environments that are non-hierarchical, where everyone is heard. And foster a work-life balance for all. And finally, be forward-thinking in embracing creativity and diversity of thought. Now, I'm delighted to see such progress of getting women on boards. I think that is absolutely critical. But we need more women in executive roles as well. They are the future pipeline for the boards. We also need more women in mid-management roles and senior management roles, more recruits, and the pull of female talent to build a pipeline. Because it is only by doing that will we create the sustainable change that is required. None of this is easy. It never has been. Back to my comment earlier of there are no silver bullets. But the costs of failing are significant and the opportunities are huge. Thank you.